The first time I discovered porn, I was about 8 to 9 years old, and it was at home where I stumbled upon. I think nilikuwa mdaku, but I found a collection of different pornography tapes from different parts of the world. Kulikuwa na every sort of porn, and how I found out is because I actually watched all of them, but I'll get to that. So hizo days kulikuwanga na tapes, na hizo tapes zilikuwanga na zile covers, and on the covers I remember they always had women with big huge ass boobs, um or their legs widespread. I don't remember ever seeing a cover with like a man with his dick out. It was always women touching themselves, and I think that's what piqued my curiosity. Hizo siku kulikuwa na sikumbuki hiyo kitu ya kuweka tapes ilikuwa inaitwaje, but you'd put your tape in the player, alafu stima ikipotea ni hivyo. You can't get it out until the steamer comes back, na stima zilikuwa zinapotea sana the whole day for long, sometimes zinarudi sale wazazi washarudi. So I almost got caught actually a few times, but I'm not sure if my parents even know I know this, or if they knew I had access to these things, especially that young, because 8 years old is class 3 ama class 4 hapo. That's the first time I found out about porn, and I would go watch by myself. I would wait for everyone to leave the house, then I would go put them in the player, in the record player. Hizi ni days before CDs itokee, na pia venye CDs ilitokea bado kulikuwa I had access to those CDs. It was before like the internet. It wasn't days where we had internet phones where you could just go Google Pornhub or porn whatever, X videos or whatever. I'm a blacked. So I guess that's why like you had to have the tapes and the CDs to watch the porn. And after that, I don't think I quite still grasped what porn was. I mean, I could see it and I could watch it, but I don't think I understood what it meant sexually because I wasn't really getting aroused from it. And from then on, I was in class 3, but I had older friends who were in class 5 or class 6. And I started inviting my friends over at home so that maybe we could understand what was happening. And I'm so sorry to all my friends who I initiated into this sexual rabbit hole. I don't know. I think I should reach out personally and just have this discussion with them if I can remember some of them. But eventually my house started becoming the place where people would come to watch porn when my parents and my family wasn't around, which is such a horrible thing. You know, with capitalism, my parents were never around. My mom was working 2 to 3, 4 jobs. She was not able to be as hands-on as you could, especially since she was doing the parenting on her own. My dad was not really there. He was always away, whatever. But I don't really blame my parents for how I turned out because I feel like everything that happened to me made me become exactly who I am right now. But I like that I am at a position where I can talk about how some of these things impacted me long term and how they made me also become the person I am. My friends would come over and we would watch, and I don't really remember getting horny or aroused. I just remember being so fascinated. Like the first time I saw 6ix9ine, this man was standing and he was carrying the girl upside down, and the lady was sucking his dick and he was eating her pussy. But mi nilikuwa nashanga, what is even happening? Why would you want to put your mouth on someone's susu? Those days they never even used to call private parts like with their real names. Tulikuwa tunatumia dudu, susu, pupu, PP, and such words. And it was only until I was about 12 or 11 where we learned about reproduction and sexual education. That's in like class 5 in the Kenyan curriculum. And that's when I started understanding, and that's also when my mom started having age appropriate discussions with me about sex, teaching me about my period. And I think that's when the conversation started. And that's when now, when I was taking time to watch these porn films, I would start to understand, so that's where the penis goes. So that's what that white stuff is. It's sperm. But why is the, and why is he sucking her breasts? She's a grown woman and he's a grown man. That's what kids do. I just had so many questions, but I never really had the space or chance or opportunity to ask anyone about everything that was happening. That's how I found out about porn. And within a few years, I don't know if it's unfortunate, sad, or what. When I started understanding like the sexual implication of what porn was, and I started watching these. Remember, I told you I watched all those tapes and all those CDs. It became it came to a point where I couldn't go to sleep without watching. So I would watch it every day. Every day, I would find time and go and hide some of these CDs for myself, and I would watch them. And I also had older cousins who were like in high school, and anytime I'd visit their houses, I was always looking for CDs with some sexual, because they would have these covers, like CDs with some sexual innuendo, something insinuating that sex was going to happen in the movie. If there was no such scene, I would just get turned off and bored. And 2 years after that, when I was like 10, 11, 12, I had already started masturbating because I saw it in the porn. I saw how the ladies would touch themselves and they would scream and they would feel so good. And one day I tried it and I got hooked. So imagine being a 12, 11-year old who watches porn and who was very addicted to masturbating. When I was younger, I used to suck my thumb. Kama ushainyonya kidole unajua how it's very hard to stop. So imagine the porn and masturbation addiction at this age took over that I completely stopped sucking my thumb because I was getting the dopamine hit and the satisfaction completely just from touching myself. Imagine that. Unfortunately, that's my beginning and introduction into porn and masturbation, which is very, I think that's why I carry shame because I've never really spoken these words out loud. And I know if I had a kid right now and they were 8 years old, 12 years old, touching themselves or engaging in anything sexual, it would probably really scare me. It would make me feel like I wasn't that present, at least to have, your kids hang out with different people all the time. They go to people's houses all the time and you never really know what they're doing over there. You just trust, mtoto wangu ameenda kwa kina Roberta. Roberta is normally the responsible kid. Roberta is the one who is showing kids porn at 8 years old or even having these discussions about porn. And that's why today I want to talk about how porn affects you mentally, psychologically, emotionally, and how it pours into your sexual life and into your relationships, how it shows up, especially once it becomes an addiction or something that you cannot do without. So, yeah, let's talk about it. Porn is any media that is sexually explicit. The main aim for porn being produced is to elicit sexual arousal. Some people argue that my blog, Love and Orgasms, is pornography, and I could see how. Oh, you write porn. I could see how that could come out to become porn. But my intention really is mostly to be informative, to teach people about sex and intimacy, to teach people about things they can try out, what they can do, what they like, more than to make you horny. Like when I'm writing, my intention is not, I want to make all these people horny and I want to make them wank. No. My intention is to show you what might be good, what might not be good, what is right, what might not be right. How you guys choose to consume my content and how you guys decide to understand it, it's not something I can really control, even if I have my own intentions. But that is what porn is. It is when sexual things are being done to elicit some sort of sexual arousal for you. And the problem I have with porn is, as somebody who is can I call myself a former porn addict? I don't know if I was really addicted to porn, because I can go without it. Like I could do without it. I could go without it. But for that period where I discovered porn, my first years, it's something I found myself looking for and wanting to do and wanting to watch a lot of times. And the thing is, I didn't even like it or it brought a lot of shame. I wasn't even into it. It was just about my curiosity. I really wanted to understand what was happening and what was going on during this. So I was saying the problem I have with porn is psychological effects it ends up having on people, or what it does to your brain long term. Because sex, how we learn about sex initially kind of sets the standard for how you consume sex, how you perform sex, how you understand sex, and how you yearn for sex. And so imagine being a kid and seeing porn. It did something to my brain. It made me feel like this is what people do when they're having sex. This is what happens. And so you see all these women with bodies that look a certain way, all these men who fuck a certain way, and it kind of sets the basis for your understanding for sex. So it kind of is the number one teacher for sex for most people. And growing up, I always had, you see, like I keep telling you, mine was more of a curiosity more than it was a need for sexual arousal. And as the years have progressed, Kitambo porn was a bit softer. Like you could see the men worshiping the women during sex. Even if you go back and if you watch porn and you go and search porn from 1980s, porn from 1960s, you'd see there was some sort of respect or some consent going on, which is not the case these days. As we came into the 2000s, all the way up to now, porn has become aggressive, abusive, corrosive, humiliating. And you see, the thing is, watching porn has a direct correlation with releasing dopamine from your brain. And dopamine is a feel good hormone. So as you keep watching it, it keeps exciting you. And the more you watch it, the more it becomes normal, the more it becomes, you become less sensitive to it. It just becomes your normal. So when you see people in porn being aggressive or being abusive or doing things that are humiliating the other person, it's normal. And if that's your first teacher for sex, you get into sex with other people thinking it's normal. Come on, there's this guy I was seeing, and after our date, he was dropping me off home, and we sat in the car for a while. The goodbye kiss. Before I left the car, we started making out, and we kissed for a bit. And as you know, as you're kissing, there was a lot of attraction. And as you're kissing, and it starts getting intense, 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 and you're getting aroused and excited, he grabbed my neck and he started to choke me. Well, not choke me to kill me, but like choke me out of excitement, out of, the choke me, daddy. But it was the first time we were kissing. It was the first time we were making out. This man had never touched me before, but he went for my neck to choke me. When I left that car and I went upstairs to my house, I was just thinking, why would he do that? Why would he grab my neck? What made him feel like it was okay to even choke me or touch me in that way? And ilinisumbua akili sana, because I was thinking, I don't know, like, it's not that I'm conservative or that I'm reserved. I'm really, really a nasty person. But even I know that there's some things you can't really do without having a discussion first. And I was thinking, is it that I'm traumatized by like sexual assault things, or why was I thinking about it so much like that? And I realized it's because I wasn't really comfortable with someone doing that to me the first time, and I didn't even know how to bring it up to him, because I think people just assume this girl, she talks about sex all the time, so she's a slut, she must like such things. But to me it was just it was really, really awkward. It was really weird, and I've actually never brought it up. I've never told him again, because we've never done that again, but it really stuck with me in my head. And the first time I started having questions about porn being abusive was about 4 or 5 years ago. Anytime I would watch porn, like I was an avid porn watcher. Anytime I wanted to wank, of course I put on some porn, especially since I'm very monogamous. So when I'm not in a relationship, I'm not having sex. So in my head, it's hard for me to picture another man. So I would rather use sexual aids to help me when I'm wanking, because I'm someone else doesn't come to mind when I'm having sex. So it's really hard. It was really difficult that time to get myself off. And when I would watch porn, I would see how the women were being treated. I mean, for a while it was exciting, but then I started watching it critically. Sijui kama ni awareness, like when your frontal lobe develops. But I started watching porn from the point of, how come the girl never has a say? And even they expose the woman more. They sometimes even hide the dick or hide the man's face. But the women are all out there for display. And things like gagging, ass to mouth, like he'll take his dick out the ass and put it directly in her mouth, or gagging when he would stick his dick down her throat mpaka ina activate like gag reflex. And I would wonder, who is this for? Who is this exciting? Like, why would you want to see someone choking to the point they can't breathe? Or why would you want to put something that came out of place ya mafi unaingisha direct kwa mdomo, ukijua how there's countless possibilities for infections, or even the verbal and physical abuse, like calling each other names. Like, I have another story. These things shock me because primarily I date really respectful men. Like, I'm very intentional with that. The respect has to be there. So one time I was dating this guy, and we were having sex, and he said something, fuck you bitch, or something, bring that something here bitch. Bro, I got so shocked because this man had never disrespected me. He'd never said, I had actually never had those words come out of his mouth. So for him to call me that during sex, I thought I had a degradation kink until it actually happened to me, and I realized, no, I like being respected, even especially during sex. Like, I have to feel good, I have to be happy, I have to feel loved, I have to feel wanted. So I wasn't understanding why he would, like, this man was so okay with telling me CG fuck bitch or calling me a bitch. No one calls me that. I've actually never had someone use that word on me. So why it made me feel so disrespected. And someone might argue, no, it's during sex, anything goes, it's primal, sex is supposed to be wild. Okay. Listen, tuko kwa different levels za awareness na vitu different ubamba watu different. Kuna watu bambwa sana na kukwa disrespected in bed, lakini mi place nimefika, hizo ni vitu ningetolerate kitambo. Or even being slapped. There's this time this guy slapped me. Kwa uso. And listen, I get it. You might say, these things are exciting, but I've reached a point where consent is so mandatory. These are discussions we must have before you try to do them on me. I don't expect that if we're having sex for the first time, we've never even had discussions about like what I enjoy, what I like, but tujipate to may have sex. And then you start slapping me and calling me a bitch. Bro, I'm going to cut it right there, and it's going to end because I have to feel like we have to be completely comfortable with each other enough for us to be able to have these discussions so that I don't feel disrespected, because I've never been having sex with a man and then I start hitting him or I start calling him names. That has never crossed my mind. So why, like, in what world would it be okay for them to do it to me? And I realize it's because porn dehumanizes women. Porn dehumanizes people. I'll speak for women because I'm a woman. I don't know anything about men. But as the years have gone by and sex has gotten more aggressive and corrosive, you can tell that with all this abuse, it makes us less sensitive. Even these women, when you watch the porn and you watch them being slapped and made to vomit all over the dick, the reaction is usually either positive or neutral. Nobody ever stops to say, no, I don't like that. Why? First of all, because porn is not real, it's scripted and it's acted, it's not real. So, but people who learn how to sex from porn, they have crazy expectations, thinking that this is how normal sex is. This is how boobs look on a real woman. This is how a woman is supposed to scream. So if you're fucking a woman and she's not screaming at the top of her lungs, then you start feeling like you're not fucking the way you should. You're not performing the way you should, which is so skewed and it's so wrong and it's not accurate. And I've realized people are having sex without having these discussions. like I said, mnaweza do you, but mi naongea about vitu mi nimelearn na vitu na feel saizi as a woman who's growing. I just feel like if you get your education from porn, it's not really the same as when you're having real sex with a real woman who's a human being. And porn takes away the humanization of women. It takes away the part where women are supposed to have, women can have opinions about how they want to be fucked, about what they like during sex. And it's more of sex being done to women rather than women also participating in the sex and talking about what they like. Things like double penetration or like being manhandled by 6 men during sex. I've never done it, so I can't really say if it's good or if it's bad. But these are things I would never do with someone I'm not trusting of, or someone I have never had this discussion around. Can you imagine you're going to have sex with someone and then he pulls up with his friend and then they say they're gonna do some double penetration on you? Because women are not humanized during this process of sex, and that's the problem that I have with sex. Unaona ukisha nut unaanzanga feel disgusted, like why was I even watching this? Why was I even watching this? I don't know if this is a universal experience, but I've seen people talk about it on Twitter, and it happens to me as well. I'll be horny and then I'll put some porn on and I'll wank. And then after I'm done, I immediately start to feel disgusted. Like, why was I watching that? And then I started asking myself, why am I doing something I don't even like? Like, I want it, but I don't even like it. And that's a textbook definition of addiction. You realize also that other than the bodies in porn not being real and the screaming not being real and the squatting not being real and all these experiences not being real, before I decided to discuss this, I was just doing my own research and I was watching a TED talk by a lovely lady called Maria Arlen. It's on TED Talks. You can find it online on YouTube. And she talked about how when you don't scream the way you're supposed to, men seeking advice on how to fuck better would say, she just doesn't scream like that. I don't think I'm fucking her the way I should. Maybe I should start strangling her. And experts on addiction are talking about how there's a direct correlation between sexual assault, like the onset of sexual assault, and regular consumption of porn. And I'm not saying everyone who watches porn commits sexual assault. I'm just saying most people who commit sexual assault, their thoughts on sex started to be corrupted because of porn. And they blame themselves for not performing. So they try to prove that they can make a woman scream. They start looking for women who they idolize in this way that does not humanize them. They start having sex with women, but without actually realizing that a woman is a human being who also deserves attention, love, affection, and also needs to feel wanted, to be horny. They just think, and that's why people will fuck you even when you're not wet. Like they want you so bad, they won't take time to do any foreplay on you. And I talked about foreplay on my last episode. They won't take time to romance you, to make your body relax around them. This is where kutumia mate inaanzanga, and that's something I really hate. I'm someone, I know how to get wet and I know I can get wet. So if I'm not wet enough, and there's no excuse that big my dick is big as fuck. Z, it's about the romance, the connection, the emotion. If you're treating me right, my body will naturally respond. You don't have to anza kunipaka mate. Unanipaka mate ndo unipatie yeast infection. I don't even know where you. Ugh. It just really, really stresses me. And these men, when they don't get a certain type of reaction from you, they start blaming themselves for not performing. And then they start having thoughts of violence towards women because they feel they must get this sex that they've been seeing on porn. When porn is not real, sex like that is not real. It doesn't happen like that. And so I'm discussing this today so that we can start the education on sex. I wish I had someone talk to me about porn earlier, talk to me about sex earlier, like age appropriate sex. I wish I had someone present to monitor what I was doing, not necessarily even at it to stop me or to kazia me, but more so just to explain what this was and why it was wrong for me or why it was right for me. Because I feel like that would have helped a lot with my idea of sex. Ultimately, the reason I am Roberta Bobby of Love and Orgasms who discusses sex is because of my exposure to these things at an early age. Maybe if I hadn't known about it, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. But then I think that's why I'm trying to build the gap between the education. We need to have age appropriate discussions so that it can teach critical thinking about porn, about sex, and we can start to have a bit more equality, sexual health, consent, and women's needs are able to be met without like the conditioning and the trauma we have from the things that taught us sex first, which is mostly porn. Most of us learned about porn from our friend, about sex from porn, or from our friends who are actually already engaging in sex. And it's not as healthy when you don't have someone to guide you, someone to talk to you about it, someone to teach you what's right, what's not. So that's my beef with porn. And when I started this, I was telling you in the beginning, I was telling you guys about how my personal story with porn. Right now, I think I have a very much healthier relationship with sex because I I know more about consent. I know how to respect my sexual partner. I know how to have conversations surrounding sex, but not everyone is like that. And most people are still banking on porn to learn about new styles, what to do during sex. But I have to keep reminding you, your partner is a human being that you can have discussions with without making them feel left out or making them feel like you're doing sex to them as opposed to doing sex with them. My parting shot is I'm not going to tell you what to do about porn. I'm just going to say that you need to have a lot of critical thinking when you watch porn. You see, 4 years ago, when I was about 24 years old, even before I was like, my frontal lobe had developed, I already knew there was something wrong with how women are being treated in porn. And then I switched. I stopped watching aggressive, dehumanizing porn and I switched to um porn that is more respectful. And then with that, with time, I just started weaning myself off porn, and now I can do without porn. I don't even check it out. I mean, once in a while to get myself off, I will, but it's not something I need or something I want or something I like or something I'm addicted to. It's something I have control over in my life, and it's something I know now that I have the education. I know exactly how it affects my life psychologically and my sexual life as well. That's why I'm able to take better precaution and I'm able to care more about consent in any situation. So please, I need you to have much more critical thinking when you're watching porn. Think about how it affects you. And I've actually had clients before who've booked me to discuss this, telling me about how porn is ruining their lives, how porn is affecting sex with their wives. I haven't had a lady come forward yet about like porn addiction issues. So far, it's just been men. And I'm commending them for being able to even have these discussions. I once had a client who was telling me how he was in several groups, Telegram and WhatsApp, several groups where people were having Zapon, and he needed to stop. And after a few sessions, he ended up leaving the groups on his own accord. And now he tells me about how he's having a much better relationship sexually with his wife. He's able to connect more emotionally. He's able to see his sexual partner as a human being with real feelings more than just a woman with a hole. And such stories are what have prompted me to want to discuss porn. So I'm going to end it there. If you have any questions about porn or if you have anything you'd like to discuss further, please reach out to me, book me for a session, or DM me, message me. Let's talk about porn. You can ask me any question, maybe if there's something you don't understand or there's something you'd like to learn more about. But pornography, I have a love-hate relationship with it, especially if it's aggressive and dehumanizing. You'll never find me around anything that makes women feel like less of human beings than we already are made to feel in this patriarchal society. I need women to be more confident in sex and for them to feel like they can be loved through sex, with sex, not just kudinywa na kuachwa na kutupwa. So feel free to reach out to me and let's have more conversations about porn or sex. Bye bye.